good. No, I said this is good. Go ahead. Now go ahead, fans. I'm looking and watching. I don't know who told him how to do that, people, but that's my nephew. Trying to show me up. Now I'm gonna have to pull out the heavy artillery on y'all. So, nephew, ask me this. How did you get into music?
I was born into it.
Explain that to the people at home on what does that mean.
My father is a rapper, and I was kind of born and raised around his music, so I eventually started making my own music.
And how do you now what is your take on and what is your take on rap today?
It's better than it was a couple years ago. I mean, in my opinion, it was trash, but now it's like they took what was trash about it and kind of flipped it.
Now, you being how old?
I'm 15.
What would you know about 90s, 80s, even 2000s hip hop?
I mean, music is timeless, so I get to go back and listen to it whenever I want.
And what do you think you bring to the game?
Lyrical content, which the game is lacking in right now.
And elaborate on that band that we had the Kendricks, the Coles, even the Wale's, and even the Drakes and stuff. Like, what do you feel like you at such a young age can you can kind of like rock with them?
Absolutely.
So what do you think that you bring different as far to those guys that I just named?
I got more so I feel like most of them have a lot more lyrical substance than I do at the moment anyway. But I've got the punchlines that they don't have.
Like, what you mean by that? Like how?
I'm just a bit more clever with and witty with the stuff that I come up with.
And what about I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead and finish. I apologize.
They are they're really good storytellers, and they can push a concept through, which I can't really do yet.
And do you think that has a lot more to do with the fact that they're older and probably more experienced?
I mean, kind of, only because I feel like it takes time and practice to do.
So what is being a son of who I personally think, and I'm not just saying this because he's my brother-in-law, but being a product of Fro WUNDAS. For those of you who do not know, probably he's a lot better than a lot of these guys as well. What is some things that he had taught you or told you, as someone, of course, he knows who wants to be a rapper and follow into his footsteps?
Write whatever you want. and when you record, try your hardest to make it sound the way it sounded in your head when you were writing it.
And how do you think you have been able to correlate that to your records that you already have recorded and everything?
Uh, to put it simply, when I'm angry, you know. When I'm sad, you know. And
Okay.
like it's basically like working on my vocal inflections, like the way I sound when I rap to try to push this emotion onto you for that mood of the song.
All right. So let me ask you another thing. Again, I mention age a lot because it is definitely music is definitely timeless, and hip hop has actually become to what we all can agree the most top played genre of music. Of course, we have the Joe Budden podcast, which is again in another year, second year in a row, maybe even three, the number one podcast on Spotify, and that's just overall. So with that being hip hop being on the forefront, what name your top five music influences, and then give me your top five rappers if not the same.
Uh, top five music influencers. Dr. Dre is one for my beat making. Eminem is one for the lyrical content. I think Jordan Lucas is one for the storytelling aspect of rap that I'm working on. My father is one, of course, because if it weren't for him, I don't think I would have gotten into this. And Michael Jackson for just making anything work.
All right. And top five favorite rappers.
Uh, my father again, Eminem again, Jordan Lucas again. Wait, that's it. Yeah, I said Jordan Lucas. Royce the 5'9". I think he's extremely slept on. And Hobson.
Okay, now mind you, people, this is my nephew, 15 years old. He said Fro WUNDAS his father. That's a given. You have Eminem, Joyner Lucas, who is still fairly new, Hobson, and who else did you say? You said Royce the 5'9", someone who a lot of people again who maybe only knows from the underground world, but yes, this is a 15-year-old teenage rapper. My nephew, Fro WUNDAS' son. So what I'm and that's what I'm reason why I felt the need to just do this random interview is because I think it's time, which I hope to get your permission to share this, because I think it's time that we start showing these the younger generation that it's not always about the money. It's not always about trying to you know get the women and stuff, which also comes when you're young. But I think it's important to know that there are some young guys out here who are influenced. Like again, me personally, YBN Corday, he's I think 18, 19, 20-year-old young dude, actually who was on my top 10 best albums of the year. You have surprisingly enough, who I would also say Roddy Ricch. I believe he is not even, I think he might be 18 or 19 in those 20s. So you have this 15-year-old young gentleman here who I've heard his some of his songs, and I must say I do hear the influence of Eminem there, but I also hear the authenticness. Meaning again, sometimes it is important that those who we do support, those who we do influence, those who we do admire on a musical aspect, we can definitely feel on that now. With that being said, nephew, tell me, what do you, what is your goal? Being again, you still kind of, starting out. Of course, you grew up around this. I, of course, know exactly where you're coming from. Who, personally, on my view, both come, your mother is my sister, so we had that same type of background in a way in the church. Our grandmother, our grandmother, our aunts, they sung in the choir and did, so we have a lot of musical passion. But what I was gonna ask is that, what is your goal? And again, what do you plan to accomplish? What do you plan to push? What do you want out of doing this? Because we was just recently talking about, school and how it you felt about it. So, what do you think being a rapper is going to do for you, and what does it mean to you? Why do you want to do it so much?
Well, I have a I have a really big passion for music as a whole, not just rap, but like that along with being able to provide for myself just sounds great. And like the the fact that I can make a living off of doing something that I simultaneously love, I feel like that's just I feel like it would be dumb to not go for it.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like yeah, that's my goal is to be able to provide for myself and my relatives.
All right, so let me ask you. This all these questions are just off the fly, so of course, that's just how I do. I'm not no telemarketer or no school savvy interview guy. I'm just having a conversation with my nephew, but I think that it's important to know exactly who you're dealing with. Are you what are your thoughts on ghostwriters?
If you have one, you shouldn't rap ever
Why do you feel that way?
because I think the whole or at least one of the biggest parts of rap is the authenticity of it. And I feel like you completely take that away if you have a ghostwriter.
And that's just regarding rap, correct?
Yeah, because with pop and R&B and stuff like that, like you could really write a song and be really passionate about it, and you just don't have the voice. So then you could like give it to somebody else, and then they could, you know, do kind of what you couldn't. So that I can see.
So why don't you feel that way about rapping? Because I will say in fair, I can agree, but then also disagree in a way, because I think if you're just making a rap record and you're again, because music is just what feelings sound like. It's line by Joe Budden. Again, because again, hip hop started you know 70s, New York, street, all that stuff. But you also looking at when you look at when you think of rap and hip hop, you think of not just MCing, you think of DJing, you think of b-boy and dancing, and you think of graffiti. So just being able to collaborate with people, and like there might be some people who don't want to be rappers, but they have the bars and they want to get their word out there. That, like, me personally, I'm not like a big crowd, but I would write some raps, I would rap some rhymes. And I know some people would say, just get into spoken word. What is your what do you feel about, like, say you said what you said about ghostwriting? Now, do you think it's because of, like, what you said, authenticity, but do you think that it should be a little bit more acceptable because it is music and it is also a story. So sometimes you might have guys like Nas and Jadakiss and you know even like I said, Wale telling these stories, but it's not necessarily their stories. Like Tupac told a lot of stories. He kept it real, but a lot of stories wasn't his stories. So do you think that is the same?
No,
No.
because you can definitely write a hypothetical story, like a story you just have in your head, and like I feel like you could just do that yourself. But like if you, at least the way I see ghostwriting, right? It's just someone who's actually, writing creative stuff and then literally just somebody else. So like I feel like having a ghostwriter is just kind of lazy. Like it feels like you're taking all the fun out of it. Like why like I can't understand that. Like if you don't have a story to tell, or like if you don't have what it takes, or you don't have the tools to be a rapper, it's kind of a sign that you just shouldn't be a rapper. At least in my eyes.
So do you think that these rappers, that's just rapping about, going to the club, banging a lot of women, flashing money, do you think they should be rappers as well because they are kind of like telling, they are kind of just bringing, hype to the parties and stuff? Do you think those guys should be rappers? Because there's also room for whackness. There's always been whackness in the game.
Right.
So I think even like with the ghost, even though they didn't have ghostwriters, they might have just been telling lies. Do you think you rather the game have rappers that are lying than rappers who have ghostwriters?
I think yeah. I think I'd rather have rappers who are lying, because like at least you're actually, you know, trying. Like I feel like the people who are I feel like the people who are writing for other people, like I feel like they could only, like the only reason I can think of is for a paycheck.
Mm.
So it's like I'd rather you do that yourself, and then like I don't know. It's like I would much rather see somebody telling their own story than someone telling somebody else's story.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. I like that answer. Again, said young man, I'm gonna always throw that out there because again, like I said, it's important that this younger generation have some elders and leaders to kind of at least give them some type of challenge because there's a lot of guys out here who are rapping that. I mean, so nephew, let me ask you, if you had to, we talked about your top five, we talked about your influences, your goals, and everything. So if you had to, and we already had a lot of you all. Again, this is my nephew, who I'm not gonna say his government, but this is Maxwell Matthews. We're not gonna get into that name right now. Y'all can let him do that. We already heard that record Venomous with your father, Fro WUNDAS. Y'all can check it out on YouTube. What other platforms is it on? iTunes as well.
It's on literally anything, like Apple Music, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, everything.
Now, was that now just refresh my memory because I remember I seen it on Instagram and I just went to it. Was that your record or was that his record?
That was 100% his. Only thing I did really in terms of like bringing something new to the table was I wrote my verse and I came up for the name of it.
Okay, what is that like? Because we got some heavy hitters in the game that's Father and Son. We have Master P and Romeo, who a lot of people kind of don't really kind of look at as like very hard like dope rappers or nothing, but they have that bond. And you have guys like who else is a father and son? You have Big Pun's. His son is in the game now, but he wasn't rapping when Pun was alive. Being I don't want to discredit anything Pop has done, but being a second generational rapper, what was it like? What, like who? How did you get on his record in the first place? How did you get on that record in the first place? And how did it feel to be, for that to be like a, to get? How did it feel to be up there with your father? How did you get on his record in the first place?
Since I wrote my first verse, the idea of me and him on a song together was always there. And, it just, like 13 years later, here I am like 14 years old. So I wrote my first verse when I was like 1.
Oh, really? Is that they can vouch for that? He can vouch for that there?
It might have been 2. I'm not gonna lie to you. It might have
What
been 2.
what like I mean, you said 2, so like let's let's be real here. Like what was it that you was like? What is it that you could have possibly been saying? Do you remember? Was it that I mean, of course it made sense to you, but like was it like I mean, of course you 2 years old, so it's like hey, you wrote it, but was that like something that was like oh yeah, I know I'm gonna. That's something that you remember like vividly?
No, not even a little bit. If
So,
I could somehow find a sheet of paper with that terrible handwriting and somehow make it out, I would like post it.
but you just remember that you had a pen and pad in your hand and you was scribbling some words and you was in because I remember when you was 2. I think matter of fact you was actually I want to say you might have been living in this same old neighborhood at the time around the corner from where we are now, but it was just so long ago. But so like with that being on your being like one of your first features again, like when you was just coming up, what are some other dream collaborations or features you would like to be a part of, or people to be a part of your projects or anything? Like name give me 5 if you can give me 5 if you have 5.
Eminem, Royce da 5'9", Jordan Lucas, Hobson, and King ISO would definitely be one.
I don't know who that is, but I will definitely look him up because again, like I said, you name some big names. You're from the 2000 generation, so you came up kind of when Cash Money, Yay, G Unit, all that stuff was hitting hard, and you was like still a young guy. You was a little baby then. This is kind of like towards my generation more. What can you say about how, like, again, we already talked about this earlier, but how do you feel, or name some younger guys that you do like or admire?
Some younger guys, I can't even think of that many. I mean, Hobson's pretty new. I mean, in that starting in 2000 era.
Well, I mean in young guys like around like the
the people
20,
around
like
my age.
Well, yeah, like you mean that I mean, cause I say again, you're 15, you're almost 16, but personally, I can't really think of a lot of rappers now your age. Like I said,
Right.
I talked about the YBN Cordays, I talked about the Roddy Riches, and I also had who we have to also acknowledge, who me personally acknowledge is the only other young guy that, like I said, Lil Romeo and Lil Bow Wow. Those are the only 2 guys who I remember being remotely just as young as you, coming in, if not younger. But yeah, just pretty much younger guys, like the guys of this generation. Like you have Little Uzi Verts and, like I said, the YBN Cordays and the Roddy Riches and stuff. Like, do you listen to any of those guys, or are you just more based on the just all out, flat out bars and just lyrical guys, lyrical content? Because your content as well is actually pretty, like I said, lyrical, and it's like where I don't personally hear any influence of these newer guys. So do you just listen to those older guys that's been around for a while, or do you listen to some newer guys?
I listen to like nothing but bars. So like it's kind of a weakness of mine, but like I really like hearing punchlines and stuff that makes me have to rewind 5 seconds back, and like stuff I can't necessarily listen to with my friends because like I'd be pausing the song every 7 seconds, like, yo, did you catch that? Like, but I want to try to listen to some of the newer guys so because they're more in touch with this newer generation. Like they know how to make songs that really resonate to younger audiences. The thing is, like a lot of them, at least the ones that I try to listen to, they're just trash. So like I'm trying to find a good balance.
You want to give any names? You want to call out anybody? You want to sort of drop some names? You know, since you like you got nothing to lose or anything to gain. I mean, hey, we talking real rap. We talking real hip hop. This is what hip hop's all about. You know, starting in the ciphers and the battles. Do you want to call out anybody right now? I don't want to be messy, but hey, what can you lose here? Just want to just if you don't want to, that's fine. But I just like you give me an example of guys are who you think is trash and why do you think they're trash?
I think the best example I can give you is NBA YoungBoy. That is probably no exaggeration. That is probably the worst rapper I've ever listened to.
Really? Are you really? Well, that's actually surprising because I didn't listen to him because again, a lot of these newer guys I didn't listen to myself. I heard some of his songs. Some of his songs are good. I like some. Like I like ratchet rap as well. But you know, you said NBA YoungBoy is the worst rapper you ever heard. Out of all the rappers you heard, he's the worst.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get that one. Again, I have a little bit more, and I can name some other people. But so now, do you if you had three places, you have a tour coming, and you could pretty much tour anywhere in the world. It's your headline tour. You're in charge of it. You're running everything. What would be the three places that you would want to tour to anywhere in the world?
Detroit, Michigan. Las Vegas, Nevada. And to be honest with you, probably Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, that's the hometown there. That's respect. Respect. Detroit definitely is one of those hip hop towns. Again, like you said, Eminem, Royce the 5'9". You have Big Sean. You know these guys. Danny Brown. So that's a big hip hop area. Rough area. And you said Las Vegas. I don't know a lot of artists from Las Vegas, but it is a big. Again, that's big money time right there. You know, got a lot of fight. That's fight central right there. Fight capital. A lot of gambling. A lot of lights. So that's a good place. And of course, Norfolk, that's the home team. You know, any like any other countries you would like to go to, like just off the top of your mind, any particular country you would like to visit, like tour to, or just visit?
I want to go to Norway. I want to go to Sweden. I want to go to France. Rome sounds nice. I want to go to Japan. Australia sounds fun, based off what I've heard from people who either live in Australia or used to live in Australia.
Yeah, your cousin Markel, he just came from out there. Now, it's been interview stretching a little long, but give me the best advice you got and the worst advice you got as a rapper, being a 15-year-old rapper. What was the worst advice you have received, and what was the best advice and who from?
The worst advice I received: don't cuss, like ever. That's probably the worst advice I've ever gotten. I haven't gotten that much bad advice regarding. I haven't gotten that much bad advice regarding like music making, because there aren't a lot of people that I know who do it.
Okay, so how for before we get into good advice, what do you? So you said that's the worst advice. So what like why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like that was the worst advice? Who told you that? And like why not cuss, or why cuss at all? Like, do you feel like you need to?
I mean, you don't necessarily need to. I feel like if you have the option to, you should do it. But there are definitely rappers who don't cuss that like make that have a lot of success. For example, NF. But I feel like you could, along with the way your voice sounds, you could get like certain emotions off easier. Um, I mean, those words do come with their own definitions, so you're technically expanding your vocabulary, and at least for someone like me, it could set up for a lot of nice punchlines. So,
All right. So what about the So was it anybody you knew personally who said don't cuss, or was it just like some random person who was listening to your music and said, "Oh, you don't need to be cussing, you young," or whatever?
I mean, most adults per se that I don't know would say, yeah, you shouldn't be cussing in your music. You're like 15, but you know.
Now, how does that make you feel? Aside from you thinking that's the worst advice, how does that make you feel when you have adults frown upon you for being, again, typical 15-year-old teenager? He wants to be a rapper. He's cussing like does that like give you? Does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like angry? Does it make you feel sad? Like
I
how does
mean,
you feel about that?
it's annoying. Like, they're not like they're not necessarily like they're not racial slurs that I'm throwing around. Like, they don't have a super huge impact that affects a whole race or something like that. So like, when you say that I like shouldn't be doing it, like, there's a lot of things that some people shouldn't be doing that we do like every day. So
How do your folks feel about it? Cause again, you're my nephew, so I done talked to at least talk to them about it. I mean, they support you exactly 100%. But what did they say about when they first heard you rap or first heard you curse? What did they say about it?
okay, so I actually had to get the okay from my father with this one. We had a debate about it in his car on the way home, and I believe I won, because if you listen to my music now, but we had talked about it, and he eventually agreed that it's possible that this might be the best decision personally for you in your music. Like, I want my music to be the best that it could possibly be, and restricting me to crap and stuff like it's not gonna.
So in other words, you feel like if the song or the record is if it requires a curse word or so, you'll do it, because again you have to. Again, this is rap, so you have to be real. So
Yeah.
we have to express it. So I mean, but not saying that it's just something that you have to do. You just saying if it fits, then it fits. You know what I mean? That's like that.
Like,
Okay.
if need be, I'm definitely dropping an N bomb or an F bomb, I should say.
Okay,
That's just raw emotion.
That's fair, and that's one thing I always would say. Like, I would say that about my brother-in-law and my sister. They let their kids, they let their children be who they are. Because again, it's like y'all are. It's like that's One thing I always said I admired about you and Morgan and everything was the fact that y'all gonna look behind each other. Y'all might sometimes you might not agree, like the world might not agree with the parents or not, but you know that's not their problem. Now, best advice. Who gave it to you? What was the best advice? And why do you feel it was the best advice?
The best advice that I ever got was when you record, try to make it sound the same way it does in your head. That is like the best advice, music wise, I've ever gotten. My father gave me that advice.
All right, and it says again, like you said, he's of course your father, so I'm sure there's been times like you just explained y'all had disagreements. So do y'all do you feel like how do I put I can't even get it out right. Do you feel like him being your father? Do you feel like he's being he do you feel like he's tougher on you because he's your father, or he's easier on you because he's your father? What do you feel that? Do you feel like he like that's like y'all have that relationship where he can be real with you and honest with you, whether it's right or wrong, whether he agrees or not? Do you feel like he is like any advice he gives you, or any type of any type of any type of thing that he gives you is like him being hard on you or easier on you? Like,
I think he's, harder on me. Pause. Like, I showed him a song that I was working on, and it was about this broken and dysfunctional relationship. So, like, my mother heard it too, and she said that. So, funny story ish. I gave the song to them, and I asked them, like, was it mixed and mastered well, so that like I don't put out music that sonically sounds like poop. And when they were done listening to it, they lectured me about the content of the verse. Like, this is not what I asked for, Mom and Dad.
do you have
But like,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you was finished. Go ahead.
but yeah, he'll definitely like talk to me about something if he feels like he needs to address it.
Now, do you think that who you think is more who do you think is more, I guess, restricted with you and your music, your mom or your dad, or is it kind of like an equal thing? You think like they kind of both feel the same way about you doing music?
I mean, I think they feel the same way about me doing music, in the sense that I think that me making music as a whole is great. But as far as restrictions go, I don't have any, besides like don't record music too late, because sometimes I have to be a little louder and people try to sleep. But
Fair enough.
yeah, as far as restrictions go in my music, I don't really have any.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I'm one of them people. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as an artist?
In the position to be a double XL freshman, but turning down the offer.
Why turn down the offer?
Because I don't want anyone to say that they helped me in a major way, unless I desperately need it.
And so you feel like that getting that help is more is detrimental? Do you think what's wrong with getting help?
There's nothing wrong with getting help, but I do everything on my own as it is. Like, I of course write all of my own music, I make all of my own beats, and I record it in my bedroom. So like, I would. It's just nice to say that I've gotten to the place that I am now, or in the next 5 years, all by myself.
Well, do you think that I mean that's awesome because again this is a new era of rappers. Do you feel like that's a big step because again wouldn't you want to listen to wouldn't you want to see how you can elevate your sound and make even your music even greater, collabing with different producers, different writers, different artists and stuff, and being able to at least get that exposure because that's all these magazines and radio really is. I know you probably want your song on the radio. We was talking about touring. We was talking about features. Don't you think that that's pretty much the same thing as far as getting help in a major way? Because there are some things that you just can't do on your own, especially with aside from putting your music out and doing it, but there are some things like you're gonna need a venue, you're gonna need a stage they're performing on. So of course there's gonna be some help. So why do you feel the double XL magazine, if they are even around in 5 years, is gonna be like a turn down, which is actually a big great testament on your part. But I just want to know how you feel about it because that would be definitely one of those magazines that will definitely be like, oh well, look, this is a young kid from Double XL, but they have been letdowns lately. So I think that might be the best. But why do you feel like the that having major help or not or doing everything on your own is so why do you take so much pride in that?
Well, to answer what you had somewhere in the middle of that, Double XL ain't really what it used to be anymore. It's like
Agree.
like they used to, give people that boost that they needed to like make it into the mainstream and get the following that they really needed.
That's right.
But now it's kind of like a popularity contest, and like the Double XL freshman list is just a whole bunch of people we already knew. Like they're not even freshmen anymore; they're like sophomores.
Right. That is true. I know. I think Nicki and Drake both had turned down the freshmen, and I think there were a couple other people who felt like the freshmen like people been putting in work for years, and then they become freshmen. Where it's like I guess because I think Double XL kind of gets people that kind of has a buzz, but it's like it takes them sometime a minute to kind of get that big following. Then Double XL comes up because before we was getting like I remember one issue which was probably one of my favorite issues. It was the first issue I think and it had Astor Roth, Wale, I believe Kid Cudi was on that class, but it was just like a remarkable lineup. Like there's a couple freshman covers that I actually liked. Some of them was a hit or miss. But I mean, that was just pretty much. I just wanted to ask. Now, I think this is actually gonna conclude the interview, but let me just reiterate again on where people can find you, on like where can they hear your music, if you want to do a freestyle, if you want to share anything to those who are listening, to new listeners, any advice for people who are trying to come up, like you have any people who are asking you for advice, people who are trying to who are fan of yours, trying to get put on and stuff. What is your advice to those people?
My advice to any of those people would be try to like really find your own element. Like try to find your lane, cuz if there's one thing I hate, like I like it but I hate it at the same time. It's like, "Oh, you sound like Eminem." I mean, cool. In my opinion, he's the greatest rapper to ever grace a microphone, but like I don't want to be baby Eminem. I want to be Maxwell Matthews. I want like I want everyone to know that Eminem was a very prominent like influence in my career and in my life as a whole, but I don't want to be a little version of Eminem.
What is what is it about Eminem? Like, what is it that is it about Eminem that you admire so much? Because again, he's on everybody's top, even though as many people like to hate on him lately. But what is it that you like so much about Eminem?
He's got a lot of lyrical content. I mean, in his album that he dropped today, he had like a lot of wordplay, a lot of metaphors and punchlines and stuff like that. But he also had the song, what was it called? Darkness, where he told this story. And at like when you're listening to it, at first you're gonna think that like it's just like about his life at the moment, and then you listen to it again, or like you get to near the end of the song and you realize that it's also from the perspective of the Las Vegas shooter. Like it's such godlike penmanship that I admire from him, and I want to have my own version of.
What is your favorite Eminem record?
God, you can't ask me that. I don't even know.
Okay, well, do you prefer or do you like conscious Eminem or more Slim Shady, talk about your mama baby Eminem?
Uh, it's an unpopular opinion, but I like the conscious Eminem because he actually has some stuff to talk about, and I
Right.
feel like his point of view about these topics should be acknowledged and respected. Like where he stood with Trump being president, where he stands right now with the state of gun control. Like I think it's something that everybody should like at least listen to and take into consideration.
Do you did you listen to Revival?
Yeah.
How did you feel about that album? That was the album that everybody hated. I personally enjoyed it. I think again, that's why the reason why I asked you if you like Conscious Eminem or Slim Shady Eminem is because I like Conscious Eminem. One of my favorite records by him is When I'm Gone, which was I forgot what album that was on, but did you like Revival?
Encore. It was on Encore.
Okay.
Uh, but I liked Revival. I personally probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10 because there were some songs that were like cheesy and corny.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 only because again, like I think and surprisingly enough, a lot of the records that was that had the pop artists up there, those was his best records. But my two favorite records on Revival was Good Dad, Bad Husband, and that one song I forgot the name of. I think it was like something about him going home or something, but I'll have to go back and look at it. So like I said, Eminem's your number one guy, and of course we had talked about you and your father's relationship. We talked about your plans as a rapper and the advice you would give people, and like I said, nephew, keep up the good work. Like I said, I seen that that Venomous record was. I thought, oh man, my nephew's gonna be a problem. He sounded like Eminem, but I can definitely feel like I can more so hear the influence other than the copying, because again
Right.
you have your own words, and just being so young at a young age, I can say I don't care how influenced Eminem was. I can tell that again that this was you wasn't trying to be like anyone else. I mean, some people just don't have that gift to even if you didn't write that record, even if you didn't write those lyrics, the way you delivered it and everything, you can tell like not everybody can rap fast and make sense. Not everybody can rap fast and be saying something. I had a bar before saying all these rappers act ain't none of them rapping, they just talking fast, talking about nothing. So it's just like I said, I admire that because again, no matter how old you are, no matter how short in the game you are, those people who like to see a young guy like yourself, a young black guy from Norfolk, Virginia, those who knows that it's not one of those it's not one of those places that is gonna that's just gonna like we gotta get it's a struggle out here. So for you to even be able to want to be a rapper and to have the type of records that you have is admirable for you. So I commend your mother and father for that, because again, you can do anything else. You was like, talking about you was writing, music. So you're a natural born writer. So yeah, and if if there's anything else you want to share, again, I appreciate the time. Appreciate this little ambush I pulled on you. Now, do you have I do have one more question. Now, being that you're like, again, you're about the bars and stuff. If somebody come up and just walk up with you and say, "Hey, let's battle," like what are you gonna do? Like, do you have like bullets in the chamber, or are you more one of those guys who like to just kind of who rather just write and take time? Like, can you just rap on the fly or what?
I can't freestyle. So like, I took 3 battles today outside the school, and those were kind of fun. But for one of them, uh, it was kind of like I had some punchlines in my head because his friend's name is Promise, and I did a lot of like Promise flips and bars and stuff like that. But normally, if someone wants to battle me, they're gonna have to arrange that, because I like having my prep time. I'm like Batman. If you give me time to prepare, I'm going to win. So it's like, uh, yeah, basically that's it.
But you don't shy away from a challenge though, correct?
Right.
Just so yeah, because I know like I said, when you have that presence on the record, again, like I said, the Eminem presence, and of course your father being Fro Wonders, I know that there are some, like, the way that you rap, they sound like you freestyling it, because it's like some stuff, like, you just like, how long did it take to do this record? How long, like, how many takes did it take? Because again, it was just so flawless to me. I can't even repeat what you had said, but and then again, there's the name Maxwell Matthews. The name will definitely throw people off, because I was like, man, I said, man, that name. I mean, the name, that's your name, but
It's very much not my government.
yeah. So it's kind of like, well, I'm excited to see if you even keep this name when you get further along in the career, because you're still growing as a artist, as an MC. So you, like, when you start developing your sound more, when you start getting your own sound, like you said, you do your own beats, you write your own songs, and you have such a golden age era of hip hop authenticity in you, that I believe that that you are one of those artists who are gonna last for a long time. And for your father to be still doing his thing at this age and everything, and still able to bring that good content, even for myself, just as someone who does writing and does a lot of studying with that, I think and believe and feel and 100% support that you will be, in the next 5 years, like, up there, because again, you will be an adult at that time. And especially now with technology evolving and the labels and everything being more about the independence, you will definitely be able to, again, you just have to continue to push it. So, nephew, I will tell you, I do appreciate it. I do thank you for taking this time with me. So, those listening, those watching, those who want to see what I see and hear what I hear and figure out what the hell we talking about, give them where they can follow you, give them where they can listen to you, tell them who you are.
I am Maxwell Matthews. You can follow me on Instagram at Maxwell with 2 underscores, and then Matthews. You can follow me on Twitter at Max Matthews FSC. You can follow me on Twitch at Shizun Akuma. Hopefully I can edit that in somewhere because it's not easy to spell. But I also own a record label that you can follow on Instagram at frequent_sounds_entertainment. We also have a Twitter at frequent sounds, and I'm on all streaming platforms. So anytime you want to tune in, listen to some actual bars from the new age, I'm your guy.
All right, nephew. And again, this is Anthony Donnell Blair. And hey, consider this your first unofficial raw and uncut interview. Like I said, it wasn't really no sanction, but I just wanted to share the people. I like to sometimes give people time to shine. I know a lot of y'all was tired of listening to me talk and listening to me play the piano, but I just was touched by the way that he played those keys. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. So y'all know where to find me at NED Blair on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm gonna probably change it again. That's ANYDBLAIR. And follow my add me on Facebook at Anthony Donnell Blair. At my personal entertainment page, A Blair Root, and that's it. And that's all. All right, one.